Okay, guys, hello and welcome back to Bright Founders Talk from Timmy, an international software development company that designs, builds, and delivers software for sustainable businesses and promising startups. Today, guys, we've got with us Andy Evans, Digital Founders Club. Andy, hello, how are you?
It's a bit of a mouthful, isn't it? Because I'm known online as Digital Andy. In fact, my friends, my kids' friends call me DA, Digital Andy, and I've got Digital Founders as the business. So a lot of digital in there to go on.
Is this a name you kind of coined yourself, or did someone else coin this name for you? How did this come
out? So this is a really good question. I love that. It's really great. Let's go with that. So many years ago, I was at a very close friend's wedding in Italy. And we were sat around and we made up this game called the War of Words. And we had to find a word to describe the person sitting opposite you. And I think you can imagine we had a few drinks going there. And one of the lads around the table looked at me and said, Andy, for as long as I've known of you, I've always thought of you as digital Andy. And this is so long ago before, most Twitter names and handles were taken and so on, that I thought, I'm going to use that. That's going to be me across the internet. So I've just gradually become Digital Andy. There we go.
Okay, very nice. But before the times, most definitely, even before it all happened, before Twitter and all these handles came about, you had your handle ready and raring to go. Okay, Andy, what I want to do, I want to get to know you a little bit better before we get started. Go into, I always say, the man behind the machine, yeah? So I'm going to fire at you some rapid fire questions. You answer either yes or no, or just kind of one or two word answers. So, team or independently? How do you prefer to work?
Independently.
Are you a risk taker?
Yes.
Work-life balance, is it important to you?
100%. Really
do you enjoy networking?
Love it.
Do you enjoy public speaking events?
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. Are you focused more on short-term goals or long-term goals?
Long-term goals.
Do you consider yourself a hands-on leader?
No.
Are you happy with this year's success?
Never.
Uh-huh. Okay, interesting. Let's talk about a few of those before we get started. So tell me, so you said definitely work-life balance is really important to you. Expand upon this a little bit for me.
Well, having built and sold 3 businesses, it's been a hell of a journey, full of highs and lows. And I am surprised my wife hasn't divorced me over that period, but she's been very patient and very supportive all the way through. And so now I'm in a position to be able to get more of a work-life balance. I'm really starting to understand how important that is. So it makes me a calmer person, a nicer person to be around, I think. Mm-hmm. Obviously, when you're dealing with a lot of stress and pressure, you're carrying that with you, and that can rub off on your personality and the way that you are. So I think for me personally, it's really, really important, but I would encourage any entrepreneur to keep a really good work-life balance. Because life's too short, right? Who knows if we're going to be here tomorrow?
Andy, this is something that I find with a lot of the speakers that come on the show. The further they are in their career, the more work-life balance becomes more important, and they say they wish they had it at the beginning. But I've never had someone who's really at the beginning of the career saying, yep, life-work balance is really, really important for me. It's they say, you have to work those 7 days at the beginning to get your startup running, to get your business going. If you could have done it differently, would you?
Definitely, because I think if you're not running on all cylinders, then you're not going to be effective, right? So sleep is really important. Health is really important. Good diet is really important. Time to explore knowledge from other areas outside of work that you can bring to your work environment. All of those things are really important. And all of those things help you to be successful in your career and in your job and what you do. And so, absolutely, if you work hard, I mean, anybody that has any level of success, I'm sure, has had to work much harder than some other people. And but at the same time, if you're not firing at all cylinders, then you might not be as effective as you could be. So I think generationally that's changed. I watch a lot of the young people that I work with who are really good at going down the gym and running and good with their health and so on. I wish I'd been better at that. But it is a balance, and it's never going to be perfect. As you say, as you get further along in your career and your life, then you do get more flexibility on that if you're lucky. But it's health, well-being, friends, family, just keep them around you. They're your support, right? If you let them down, then maybe they won't be there for you in the future.
Do you think that comes down to money or success, or where you are, your standing point in the business? Because obviously at the beginning you can't afford other people to do your schedule and sort all your timings and everything that you need to be doing. When you get further on into your business or further experience, you better know how to either delegate these things, which ones are more important. Do you think it comes down to it is something that people just have to sacrifice at the beginning?
No, I don't think so at all. I think there's with virtual PAs and AI and all of these tools that are available to you nowadays, it's there's even less excuses to not do that. Really, it's just a matter of taking time out for yourself in the same way you might sit down in the beginning of the day and plan your day out. What are you going to do? What are my tasks? What are my goals? What am I going to get done?
Mm-hmm.
You need to have those same tasks and goals for yourself as well, and also reward yourself for your successes. When you're doing well, reward yourself. Get whether you need to buy yourself something or go out or go for a dinner or whatever it might be. Celebrate your successes along the way outside of work, because otherwise, what's it all for, right?
It's so true. So true. Okay. You spoke there about not being a hands-on leader. Talk to me a little bit more about this. So why would you consider yourself not a hands-on leader? And how has that given you the success that you've gained so far?
Well, I wouldn't say that I've always not been a hands-on leader. I think it's something that I've learned over time. And look, you do need to be hands-on with your own business. If it's your own business, you need to be looking at things. But really what we should all be aspiring to do, as is every business book you might read, is make yourself redundant, right? You want to be in a situation where you can trust the staff around you to run the business on your behalf, and give them the trust and give them the confidence that they need, and help to guide them and steer them on that journey, rather than dictate to them and just delegate to them and expect they're going to be able to do that on their own. And so nowadays, as an investor, an advisor, a mentor, my role is more in nurturing people and nurturing their skills and nurturing their knowledge and opening their eyes to things, and say, have you thought about this? What would you do if this happened? And rather than being directive in what they should do. And so maybe that comes with years of experience, but collaboration and understanding and guidance, I think, is a really good way, because then give people responsibility. You give them the control. Have you ever read Felix Dennis's book called How to Get Rich?
Mm-hmm.
It's not necessarily just about how to get rich. It's I don't even know Felix Dennis. He ran Dennis Publishing, that was recently sold to Future PLC for about 500 million or something. It was a big publishing company.
Not bad then. Mm-hmm.
And Felix Dennis used to have a habit in his younger years, when he was building that business, of going off to his longboat on the canals and writing poetry. And he would just disappear from the office for weeks. And his big business is growing, got his team and so on. And he would just disappear. And when that happened, the staff and the team and the leaders and everybody there just had to get on with things. So they ended up making decisions. They ended up getting on with stuff and making things happen. So he actually technically made himself redundant from the day-to-day hands-on stuff, was able to focus on strategy and growth and mentoring and those kind of things. So then, very sadly, many years later, when he died, the business ran like clockwork after that, because the team there has been doing it for years already, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, the team ended up buying the business back through PE, and then latterly sold it to Future. And I think that's a really good example of that.
Interesting. Okay. I need to read that book for sure. It sounds very interesting.
For sure, yeah.
Okay, let's go on to a little bit about what you're doing at Digital Founders Club. So could you give me, in a sentence or two, just what is it, the essence of what you do at Digital Founders Club for the listeners?
Yeah, okay. I'm going to introduce another company here as well, only that they're both sort of equally important. So I'll start with Digital Founders. Since I sold my last business back in 2019, I've been investing, advising, mentoring, and so on. And one of the things I do is I work with a bunch of incubators. So, for example, Techstars. I'm a mentor with Techstars and many other incubators as well. And when I work on those incubators, then we run for like 12 weeks, and startups get everything that they've been looking for in those 12 weeks. They learn everything they need to know from accounts and legal and finance and HR and marketing and all the other bits and pieces. And but one of the things I see that they all come out with at the end is the friends that they make, and the community they built in other founders, and they learn a lot from other founders. So it's great that as you're building a business, you might find mentors, advisors, NEDs, chairman, all these kind of things, investors. And it's good to have those people around you. But actually, as if not maybe even more important, is to meet other founders and learn from other founders, because they empathize with you, right? It's a very lonely place running a business, particularly if you're a business owner on your own. And even if you've got a co-founder or something, you want to be able to bounce off other people. What would you do in my situation? And equally, you want to be able to have those conversations in private. So which means that not while you're being watched by investors and advisors and mentors, those kind of people, because you really want to be able to say, I just had a terrible day today and I don't know how to deal with it. What do I do? And you want to have that conversation with somebody that totally understands your situation. I mean, my wife, even to this day, doesn't really know what I do for a career, right? Not because she's lacks intelligence. She's a super intelligent woman and does amazing things. But I wouldn't expect her to understand my life and what I do day in, day out, whereas other founders would do. And so Digital Founders Club is at the moment, it's a private invite-only group. It's a community of founders where founders help each other, and they communicate with each other. It's not interfered with by the advisors and the mentors and so on. And if any of those founders has a situation where they say, hey, I need to raise money, or somebody's been offered to buy my business, or I have a legal issue, or they just want advice or whatever that might be in any which way, then they put their hand up, and then we help to connect them with the right people who can help them make that happen, which means that they have this private community of other founders. They only get connected with other people as and when they really need them.
And the other company that you wanted to mention as well, tell you about that.
So the other company that I'm involved in is actually an investment syndicate. It's called Blue 14. And we invest in performance marketing businesses. So businesses that are generally in marketing somewhere or another, and they're working with e-commerce subscription-based companies, helping them to do customer acquisition, customer retention, customer loyalty, customer rewards, and all these kind of things. So I'm a private investor. I find investments through Digital Founders sometimes, but I also find investments through Blue 14. And so what's different about Blue 14 is that we don't just invest in people, but much with the same mindset as Digital Founders. What we do is we invest our time as investors ourselves. So all of the investors that are involved in that syndicate have had exits in the business, in the arena. So we bring our skills to the table. We bring the community to the table. So all of the other founders, there are like 14 businesses we've invested in now. So all of those founders get connected with each other and help each other and learn from each other. We arrange events. We just had a big event in La Manga in Spain. We had a bowling event recently. Nice. We do beach ball on Brighton Beach, all kinds of other things. We bring all the founders together.
Play hard.
Exactly, yeah. And going back to that question of like work-life balance, and making sure that that these guys and girls that are in the community are able to have fun and communicate with each other and help each other and support each other and do business together as well. So I just thought it's worth throwing that in as run alongside what I also do.
Well, it shows that obviously when you're in a better place mentally as well, that when you do all of these events, so that you can come up and bounce better ideas off each other and create more success. Tell me a little bit more about, so when I was doing some research about Digital Founders Club, the first picture that comes up on your website is quite an amazing picture where you've got the kind of the young guy at the bottom of the stairs, the young toddler, I would say, for our listeners that are speaking, in the shade, and then you've got a huge set of stairs which go up in the sun. Tell me how that reflects what you're doing at Digital Founders Club.
I think it goes back to what I was saying earlier, is that I've built and sold 3 businesses, and I've been a sole owner, and I've been a co-founder. And I think that all of those are lonely in their own different way, right? And so when you're trying to build a business, you're looking at this, summit you've got to get to, whether it be steps or mountain or whatever you might look at. And it's a long way. And you go, wow, how are we going to get up there? And, there's light up there that you want to get up to. But it's, and you feel, you feel like a child, you feel like, how am I going to get there? How's it going to happen? And I think for me, when I saw that image, it really encompassed that concept of being, an early stage startup, trying to win, trying to get to the top. You see light at the end of the tunnel, but you feel lonely, you feel scared, you feel all of these different things, and it's not unusual, It's, whatever anybody says or whatever we see on social media or LinkedIn, or everyone say, "Hey, look at me! I'm brilliant! I'm amazing." By the way, it's one of the things I hate the most on LinkedIn is people that are doing their personal PR about how wonderful they are. I really don't care. I care about how they can help me and how they can help other people. Right. But we all see this glossy stuff out there going on around us, and we all think everyone else is doing much better than us. And it's really not the case. We're all vulnerable in our own different ways. And I think that picture encapsulated it for me. So, and that's really what we're trying to do, is be there to help and to support, and go on that journey with you.
I really liked it straight away when I switched onto the website. It was something that I just stared at for a little bit, just to figure out obviously how it kind of reflects with the company. But absolutely, tell me, Andy, there. So you describe yourself as having lived the highs and lows, building and exiting 3 businesses. You're passionate at creating community between and sharing knowledge among founders to help them grow faster. Tell me, what has been that? What has been the biggest high for you, the best high that you can remember from the whole of your career?
You think, I guess my last exit was life changing. So that was a high. But what I would also say is that what people might find confusing is also immediately a low as well, because you've sold your baby, you're now wondering about what you're going to do next. How do you reinvent yourself when you eventually fully exit the business, and you go back to the bottom of the steps again, like that image, right? What do I do now? Where do I go? And everybody thinks that, wow, amazing, you must be the happiest guy in the world, yeah, great. Always wanted to have that level of success, but equally, you find yourself in a new place, a new space, and it's quite scary, sort of starting again. And I think that some people don't always appreciate that, and it's something that people should think about. And more, I like to use the word, as something we use in Blue 14 a lot, is we call it an event, not an exit. Because actually, it doesn't always have to be an exit. My last sale was an exit. I stayed and didn't earn out for a few years, and then exited. But really, you can find events that can help you take money off the table and so on, if that's what you need to do, or you can earn money drawing down from the business and so on and so forth. So really, something's important to think about as a business owner is like, what is it you're really looking for? Because I think I was striving for the big exit, and actually when it came from the other side of it, it was actually not as exciting as I thought it was going to be.
Interesting. That's actually answered my second question, because I was going to ask you what has been the biggest low for you. Would you say that was the biggest low for you?
No, I think that would be a bit
wrong to say and low.
It's right. It was just. I'd say confusing is maybe a different word. Just where you've got to reinvent yourself, right? Yeah. Who am I? What So now I've always been in the media industry. All my business has been in media, but now I'm in the startups and business entrepreneurial industry. So I've reinvented myself into that community, right? Mm-hmm. Because that's what I love and what I pursue. I think probably one of the lowest places I've been is that in my first business, around that business 15 years, we had our highs and lows. And I remember vividly one night coming home and telling my wife that we couldn't pay ourselves. There was no money in the company to pay a salary, to pay the bills at home. I was struggling to get the money together to pay the staff. And from what I could see in our forecast, that I thought we were probably going to be out of business in 3 months' time. And that was pretty scary and devastating. And I remember breaking down crying. So I was just disappointed in myself,
15 years
disappointed in everything. And I mean, it wasn't actually, it was probably, I can't remember, year 10, year 11, but it was during that 15-year period that this happened. And my wife said to me, I don't think she, even to this day now, she has any idea that what she said was so important. And she said, well, you've got a lot of skills, you can go and get a really good job. Why don't you just go and get a job? You earn loads of money. I'm never going to work for someone else. Are you crazy? This is not me. I run businesses. I'm entrepreneurial. I'm not going to go and work for someone else. Mm-hmm. And I woke up the next day with so much fight in me. Like, I'm not going to lose. I don't want to work for someone else. I want to work for myself. And that moment was a turnaround moment, but it was pretty low. I think you've got to hit your lows. Another book I'm a big fan of is The Subtle Art of Not Giving a F. And it talks a lot in there about the fact that you have to go through bad experiences to enjoy the good experience. Life is full of highs and lows. Exactly. And so I cherish those moments because I wouldn't be who I am without them. They weren't nice at the time. They were tough. But they made me who I am. And that was probably one of the lowest points.
Interesting. So you appreciate the lessons that have given you, because then you're able to determine what is the good and what is the bad, don't you? Andy, you said there about obviously being in the media industry before. Tell me, what kind of skills have you taken from that industry into bringing it into the startup world? What have been the main skills which you have had to transfer?
What I talked about when I left my last business, having mostly been in the media industry, was my idea, my thesis was that business is business. So I call it the business of business. And one of the things about running a business is when you're running a business, you're actually running the business, which is selling something, providing a service and so on. So you have all the things that you do to deliver the product, service or whatever you do, right? But what we all have to learn on a day-to-day basis, and most of us aren't that skilled at, particularly in early stage, is the business of business, which is the finance, the legal, the strategy and all the other bits and pieces that are actually the engine room of running a business. I think that, just remind me your question again, and I'll give you a clear answer to it, because I had two ways of approaching it.
So with regards to what skills did you transfer from your industry?
Of course, what skill? So really, the concept of the business, having been running businesses for 20 plus years, was that concept of learning the business of business, which is the core of anybody's business. So my investments range aviation, kids entertainment, restaurant payment systems, insurance, and live entertainment software platform, and all kinds of other bits and pieces, right? So what I believe I bring to all those businesses is the business of business and the skills that come with that, right? So I think that's the core of the engine. But then on top of that, the other answer is, what did I learn from media? Well, media is all about sales and marketing, right? When you're running advertising campaigns for people, it's all about how do we get success in the advertising and marketing campaign. So for years and years and years of, I started my first digital business in 1999, right? So that was before online advertising really existed. Mm-hmm. And now I'm involved in AI and all kinds of other bits and pieces, right? So, but all of this stuff is about leveraging sales and marketing, customer acquisition, customer retention, and so on and so forth, whether it be in performance marketing or any kind of business. I think that they're the two things, the business of business and sales and marketing.
Let's go into talking a little bit more now about digital marketing and the skills and the approaches that you have taken and need to take. So how do you balance the need for immediate results in digital marketing with the long-term strategic goals of your company? So you were talking at the beginning, I can't remember if you said long-term or short goals. You're mostly interested in
long-term goals, yeah.
Long-term. So how do you balance that need, and how do you strike the right balance, basically, between short-term and sustainable growth?
To take a step back from that, the need is really understanding who your core clients are, and really understanding who you want to sell to and why you want to sell to. Some of that might be cultural in terms of, what kind of people they are. There were people that I chose not to work with in my career because life's too short, right? Could have done deals to them, could have made money with them, but didn't, because just didn't want to go on that journey, right? So, you really need to define whether it be market sector, size of business, whether their technology stack mirrors yours or whatever it might be, really being very, very clear about who your target market is, right? And that's obviously where you want to get to at the bottom of the funnel if you follow a typical marketing funnel structure, which I'd recommend anybody does, right? And then from there, you can go back up the funnel and understand how you're going to do your branding and influencing and engagement and so on to getting through to, sales leads and going through into closing sales. So I think it's important to consider that whole funnel. And as long as you keep managing the top end of the funnel, then you're doing your branding, your long-term stuff, and you should always be paying attention to that. And then at the bottom of the funnel, then obviously that's going to be driven by the needs of the business, right? Sometimes you might be over capacity. You might not be able to take on any more business, or might not be able to take on too much more business. So you're keeping in market and keeping relevant. And just back to what I was saying earlier as well on the point of LinkedIn, just disappoints me. I see so many people on LinkedIn who are, this is my story, and I'm doing it here now with you. I'm telling you my story. Right? It's, but they're on LinkedIn and they're just, it's all about their personal PR. And really, is they turn that time and effort into, how can I help you? Like, what do I know? What knowledge have I got that is going to help you? And be the expert, be the person that people turn to and listen to in that market. So when they need you, and then they come that further down the funnel when they're ready to buy, then of course, you're going to be the first person they think of, right? So they're probably not going to be the first person they think of just because they saw you climbing a mountain or something. It's like, it's like what we're all pretty selfish as individuals, right? Dale Carnegie, How to Influence and Influence People, another fantastic book that everybody should read if they're interested in sales, right? Purely because most people, all people, everybody's interested in themselves, right? If you're not doing something for your target market and you're not doing something that helps them, why would they care? So it's just really important to understand your target market, understand what is it that they want, not what you want to give them. Understand what they want, what they need. Give them what they want. Sales for me is really simple. Find the need, fulfill the need, right? Find what they want, give it to them, right? Simple as that. And then you've got your target market. You know what your target market is. Go up the funnel, do your branding, do good communication, keep consistent, and push it through like that.
So I completely agree with you with the LinkedIn comment and point. It's something which I do not use LinkedIn much. I go on there when I have to for work. But I'm definitely not one of those people that will just keep on scrolling through, because it's it's exactly turned into exactly how you've just described. Not a fan, but obviously amazing as a tool for work.
Great tool.
Andy, okay, another question for you. With the rise of artificial intelligence and automation in digital marketing, what opportunities do you see for your company to leverage these technologies, the company you're working for as well, investing in? And how do you ensure a human touch is maintained in customer service?
Got a bunch of businesses I've invested in, and I'm a big fan of AI. I've always been into technology. My first computer was in 1981, learned a computer program in 1981, and ever since, that's why I teach to Andy, right? So, I love technology and spend a lot of time thinking about AI and how it applies to the businesses. So one of the businesses I've invested in, 11 Writing, is a content production company. And immediately I was like, wow, we're stuffed. And so not the case at all, right? Because, we write really high quality content that's written by specialists with years of knowledge, right? And AI isn't anywhere close to being able to do that right now. And won't be able to, because AI can never experience climbing a mountain or sure, being an accountant or whatever it is, right? But what we might do at 11 or any of other businesses is use it for research, and obviously check our research, make sure it's right, but use it for structure, for ideation, and for all those kind of things. So I think Microsoft, in their terminology of how they're integrating AI into their product set by using the word Copilot, is everything, right? That's exactly telling you how you should think about AI, however you're using it, wherever you're using it, right? It's a really great Copilot. It's going to help you to do what you do better and faster, more efficiently, and also with better customer service, right? You asked about customer service. I was listening to podcasts the other day where they were talking about being able to provide customer support to people, but in a voice which is exactly down to the dialect of the postcode.
Oh, wow.
Right. So you feel like you're talking to someone who lives next door.
Amazing.
So, that's really good customer service. Now, at some point, of course, we mustn't ever lose the heart of the fact that sometimes you need a human to be able to solve these problems. Well, I dare say in making customer service, I think an AI would probably do a better job, because it would try and find an answer to the question rather than the computer says no. So
true.
I think we need to remember the human touch, and it will always be there. AI will be an assistant, a co-pilot in the journey.
Okay. Andy, at the beginning, I asked you one of the last questions in the rapid fire set. It was, are you happy with this year's success? You said no, never. Tell me firstly, two questions to this. The mindset and the kind of approach to never being happy with success. And secondly, why? Why aren't you happy with this year's?
I think if you're an entrepreneur, if you've got an entrepreneurial mind, you'll always be thinking you could have done better. You'll always be looking at how you could do better. You'll be thinking about the things you did, whether you should have done them, and so on. And I think, if you've got an analytical entrepreneurial mind, I don't think you can help yourself from doing that. And maybe that's something that sets entrepreneurs apart from, I think we all do that to a certain extent, but and we as humans never really satisfied, are we, with anything? We always want, there's grass is always greener. We always want something bigger and better, or whatever it might be. But again, with age, you start to understand that it's not about that. And it goes back to the conversation we had earlier about, which is the work-life balance and your friends and your family and the enjoyment of moments and having fun in your life and enjoying not just your personal life, but bringing fun into your work life as well. And having fun. I spend a lot of time with the companies that I invest in before I invest in them. And if we don't get on, if they don't like me and I don't like them, there's no point, right?
That's right.
I'm going to be joined at the hip with them for years to come, right? So you've got to be able to get on.
Absolutely.
And so that's an important part of what I do as well. I want to have fun in what I'm doing. I want to enjoy spending time with the people. And I genuinely say now that all of the investments I've made in the companies I work with, they're all a lot of fun. I love spending time with them, and it doesn't really feel too much like work. But I'll always look and say, well, could I have optimized my time? Could I have done more with this, and so on? So I guess just that entrepreneurial mind, you just can't kick it.
Very interesting. It is one of those points where you were saying also at the beginning that you do have to stop and kind of be happy with what you've done. You've got this Digital Founders Club, which people will be there to obviously help you realize that you have made success as well. That it's not obviously as bad as you see. So I guess that's where the Digital Founders Club really helps as well, where people can come together and actually say, no, that's success, mate. That's success. You need to be happy with that part. Andy, last question for you. What is the worst bit of advice you have ever been given?
I won't say that it's the worst piece of advice, but I would say it's more of a general thing, is that it's more in terms of choose where you get your advice from. Mm-hmm. So I'm a mentor, I'm an advisor, I'm an investor, and so on. And, I would say pick your advisors and your mentors very carefully, particularly if you're going to be giving up cash or equity in exchange for that. I won't say I always had a good experience with this myself, with my own businesses. And so I'm very aware of that now in what I do and how I work with the companies that I work with. So rather than it being a very specific piece of this was bad advice, I would say generally think very carefully about where you get your advice from. And I think if you're looking to build a business and create an event of some kind, there are lots of mentors out there that will offer to help you, but try and find one that has hopefully been through the journey and done it. Because the reality is that one day you might come home crying to your wife saying you can't pay the salaries, and the next day you might be, wow, isn't it amazing, we just sold the business. And so you have to have experienced that breadth of highs and lows to really understand what it's like to be a founder, to be able to put your arm around them and say, look, tomorrow's going to be a better day, and empathize with them. Otherwise, you're probably not getting the best advice that you can get. So not exactly the right answer to what you're looking for, but I think probably slightly different.
Andy, that's a perfect answer and a perfect way to close off this podcast for today. Andy Evans, everyone, Digital Andy, founder at Digital Founders Club. Thank you very much for coming on today, Andy.
Amazing. No problem at all. Thanks for your time. Really appreciate it.